Artaxerxes I (Artaxerxes) is through Arta, Greek, Rho Tau Alpha Xi Epsilon Rho Xi Eta Sigma, was the fifth king of Persia from 465 BC to 424 BC. He was the third son of Xerxes I. He may have been the Artaxerxes mentioned by Herodotus as being a satrap of the royal satrapy of Bactria. In Greek sources he is also surnamed Mu Alpha Kappa Rho Omicron Chi Epsilon Iota Rho Macrochair, allegedly because his right hand was longer than his left. Succession to the throne. Artaxerxes was probably born in the reign of his grandfather Darius I, to the emperor's son and heir, Xerxes I. In 465 BC, Xerxes I was murdered by Artabanus, the commander of the royal bodyguard and the most powerful official in the Persian court, with the help of a eunuch, Aspamites. Greek historians give contradicting accounts of events. According to Ctesias, Artabanus then accused the crown prince Darius, Xerxes' eldest son, of the murder and persuaded Artaxerxes to avenge the patricide by killing Darius. But according to Aristotle, Artabanus killed Darius first and then killed Xerxes. After Artaxerxes discovered the murder, he killed Artabanus and his sons. Egyptian revolt. He had to face a revolt in Egypt in 460–454 BC led by Inaros II, who was the son of a Libyan prince named Psamtik, presumably of the old Scythe line. In 460 BC, Inaros II revolted against the Persians with the help of his Athenian allies, and defeated the Persian army commanded by satrap Achaemenes. The Persians retreated to Memphis, but the Athenians were finally defeated in 454 BC, by the Persian army led by Megabyzus. After a 2-year siege, Inaros was captured and carried away to Susa. Relations with Greece. After Persia had been defeated at Eurymedon, military action between Greece and Persia was at a standstill. When Artaxerxes I took power, he introduced a new Persian strategy of weakening the Athenians by funding their enemies in Greece. This indirectly caused the Athenians to move the treasury of the Delian League from the island of Delos to the Athenian Acropolis. This funding practice inevitably prompted renewed fighting in 450 BC, where the Greeks attacked at the Battle of Cyprus. After Chimon's failure to attain much in this expedition, the Peace of Callias was agreed between Athens, Argos and Persia in 449 BC. Artaxerxes I offered asylum to Themistocles, who was probably his father Xerxes' greatest enemy, for his victory at the Battle of Salamis, after Themistocles was ostracized from Athens. Also, Artaxerxes I gave him magnesia, myus, and lampsacus to maintain him in bread, meat, and wine. In addition, Artaxerxes I gave him palischepsis to provide him with clothes, and he also gave him a coat with bedding for his house. Themistocles would go on to learn and adopt Persian customs, Persian language, and traditions. Portrayal in the Book of Ezra and Nehemiah. Artaxerxes commissioned Ezra, a Jewish priest and scribe, by means of a letter of decree, to take charge of the ecclesiastical and civil affairs of the Jewish nation. A copy of this decree may be found in Ezra chapter 7 verses 13–28. Ezra thereby left Babylon in the first month of the 7th year of Artaxerxes' reign, at the head of a company of Jews that included priests and Levites. They arrived in Jerusalem on the first day of the 5th month of the 7th year. The rebuilding of the Jewish community in Jerusalem had begun under Cyrus the Great, who had permitted Jews held captive in Babylon to return to Jerusalem and rebuild the Temple of Solomon. Consequently, a number of Jews returned to Jerusalem in 538 BC, and the foundation of this second temple was laid in 520 BC. In Artaxerxes' 20th year, Nehemiah, the king's cupbearer, apparently was also a friend of the king, as in that year Artaxerxes inquired after Nehemiah's sadness. Nehemiah related to him the plight of the Jewish people and that the city of Jerusalem was undefended. The king sent Nehemiah to Jerusalem, the 14th of March 445 BC, with letters of safe passage to the governors in Trans-Euphrates, and to Asaph, keeper of the royal forests, to make beams for the citadel by the temple and to rebuild the city walls. Interpretations of actions. Roger Williams, a 17th-century Christian minister and founder of Rhode Island, interpreted several passages in the Old and New Testament to support limiting government interference in religious matters. Williams published the Bloody Tenet of Persecution, arguing for a separation of church and state based on biblical reasoning. Williams believed that Israel was a unique covenant kingdom and not an appropriate model for New Testament Christians who believed that the Old Testament covenant had been fulfilled. Therefore, the more informative Old Testament examples of civil government were good, non-covenant kings such as Artaxerxes, who tolerated the Jews and did not insist that they follow his state religion. Medical analysis. According to a paper published in 2011, the discrepancy in Artaxerxes' limb lengths may have arisen as a result of the inherited disease neurofibromatosis. Issue by Queen Damasphere Xerxes II, by Allogine of Babylon Sogdianus, by Cosmatidna of Babylon Darius II, Arsites, by Andea of Babylon Bogarpius, Parasatus, wife of Darius II Docus, by another unknown wife and unnamed daughter, wife of Hieramenes, mother of Artaxerxes and Mitreus.